That was what I was curious about, because I have heard that the same thing, warnings against Class D properties, but it's even harder when you're remote, because they can be very hands-on. So you just had great partners on the ground. How did you find those partners? How did you screen them? Like, how did you know they were going to be able to do what you wanted?
I didn't know that they were that experienced at construction management. I intended to be more the construction manager going into that deal and setting up remote systems. So I met a flipper here in Salt Lake who flips. He doesn't just flip to rental, he flips houses remotely. Mm-hmm. And the systems that he had set up with the photography and the video requirements from the contractor and the property manager, a realtor on the ground who would go and check on this stuff to make sure that it was going well, because the realtor was going to be able to sell that flip when it was done. And so it was their best interest to make sure that it was being done quickly so that they could get it listed. So the types of people that he had on his team, and then he would fly out there occasionally. So at that point I was like, I'll fly out to Little Rock every 2 months or 3 months or whatever. And that was the original plan. But I met my partners for that one all on social media. I had never met any of them before. Well, John I met at a conference, and I had been to another conference by the same organizer. And these people that I ended up investing with out of Dallas were at that conference, but we didn't meet each other there, but we knew a lot of the same people. So friend of a friend, and you friend each other on Facebook and LinkedIn. And so John I met at this conference, and I had the deal under contract at that time. And my first group of investors I had lost because coronavirus had just hit, and they were like, we're business owners, we got to preserve capital, just don't quite feel comfortable with this. And I met them through taking a course with the same organizer of that conference. And it was a great opportunity to network. People always ask me, here's a little aside, should I pay for my education? I'm like, yeah, maybe, if you can network through it. If they're in a niche that you want to be in, yeah, you might pay for it. So I paid for this course. It was a video course, made some good connections with the other people in the course with me. We were going to do a deal together. We're still in contact. We still plan to do a deal together with many of them that were in there. But through that same group of friends, I met the ones in Texas, and then I met John at an actual conference, and then he introduced me to his partner, and his partner called me and he said, hey, I heard about this Little Rock deal from John. John didn't want to get involved in it at that time. And so his partner was like, but I like it. Let me look closer at it. So he ended up coming in, and then the Dallas partners, their deal fell apart during coronavirus too. So he calls me back and he says, hey, our deal fell apart. We're looking for another opportunity. I liked yours. Let's work together. So it just kind of goes from there. And I met Ryan, the partner from Florida, at the airport in Atlanta, flying into Little Rock. And we were just getting the same flight, and we walked in, and that was the first time I met him in person. And then I met Rob and Jana were driving up from Dallas, and we met him in the parking lot at the first building that we were there to inspect. So I think flipping from afar, managing construction from afar, finding partners from afar, if you're good at Zoom and social media and Slack and texting, like, it can be almost as good as being there in person.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think also these people all have a track record, it sounds like, of previous projects and relationships and people to vouch for them too. I can work with beginners who are really into it and really have their heads down. So it was John and Ryan's first deal. Yeah. Other than they each flipped a house before that. It was their first large deal. And Rob and Jana have a large single family portfolio of rentals, but it was their first commercial deal. And so it was only my second commercial deal. And so we all came in and we brought what we had to contribute, and our various backgrounds and experiences all came together to form a good group where our opposing strengths and weaknesses were a good match. And that deal will have pretty good returns for us. That's a joint venture, so we don't have any investors in that one. Yeah. So to enjoy that with us, but we put together a joint venture with our group, and then we have a couple of private notes on that one for the rehab. Yeah. Anyway, so that's probably the best deal financially that I've done and maybe ever will do. Yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. That's I
was taking some mental notes there, because I've got 11 unit in Indianapolis, which is only 3 hours from me, and it's been a bear. It started out well, but the property management has been quite a challenge. Just finding people that do what they say they're going to do, and so I appreciate you kind of breaking that down for us.